However, all is not perfect. There are certain people in this community who can be considered hazardous. They go out of their way to spread misery and hatred amongst friends and overall cause problems. One such member of this community is ForNoGoodReason, or FNGR.
You're home, where I learn the truth about despair. As will you. There's a reason why this channel is the worst hell on earth. Every fan who's rotted here over the years looked up to the light, imagining climbing to freedom. So easy, so simple, like shipwrecked men turning to seawater for unimaginable thirst. Many have died trying. There can be no despair without hope, so I will terrorize the Brony community. I will feed it hope to poison their souls. I will let them believe that they can survive in this abomination and heresy, so I can watch them climbing over one another to stay in the light. You can watch me torture an entire community. Hello, my name is FNGR, and today class we're going to talk about the top 10 worst episodes of Season 5. And to piss off a bag of Vicodin, I'm going to say these are objectively bad. Tested in a top secret science laboratory by Neil deGrasse Tyson for 100% objectiveness. If you walk away from this episode without being angry, offended, or otherwise butthurt, I will have failed as a human being. If you don't like any of these things, I'm going to give you a link to something more enjoyable.
You can go right here. Are you ready?
Number 10, Episode 100, Slice of Life. Slime. Garbage, filth, muck, rubbish, filth, slime, refuse, putrescence. Let's get the pleasantries out of the way. Hearing Derpy talk touched me in a heartwarming way I'll never stop being grateful for. And then there's the rest of the backed up post-Miralax shitfest. I understand that M.A. Larson was asked by Hasbro to just go out there, and as far as I'm concerned, Hasbro can kiss my ass. It took 5 years to get a serviceable canon Doctor Who's. And what did we get? Bowling! We get to slink back to the shadows after a huffy spat. What a giant waste of time. Number 9, Bloom and Gloom. Remember that talk about being a Luna fanboy? I totally am. I'm also a CMC fanboy, and I was looking forward to seeing the Luna and CMC arc wrap up in something deep and meaningful. What started off as an interesting adventure with Ghostbuster gear and cool monsters straight out of someone's dreams put me to sleep with repetition. A really strong start made this a great ride at the time. But looking back, this is a real direct to wade through. Bloom and Gloom takes charming characters and makes them mature to be around. It's like a good record that ends up skipping. Number 8, Tanks for the Memories. Kids are too stupid these days to deal with concepts like death, even though everything that lives ultimately dies. It's a subject matter Disney has no problem teaching our kids, and quite literally, DHX allows Rainbow Draft to go full-on a la Akbar in this episode as a terrorist with no repercussions. This would be higher on the list if not for Pinky and Fluttershy's scene-stealing performances. So instead of teaching our kids about death, we're quite literally treated to an episode where Rainbow Dash tortures poor Tank for the duration of the episode. Bravo, Hasbro! Your incompetence is downright impressive sometimes. Number 7, Party Pooped. You know, I've said I don't care what the show teaches our kids. I fucking lied. Nick Confalone wants your little girls to put up with big, hairy, sweaty, abusive men. And if they start breaking things and threatening your friends, then you just simply need to understand them better. Yeah, no. Let's forget about the fact that the running gag about the yaks breaking things wears out its welcome. Let's forget about the fact that this would have been an amazing time for Rainbow Dash to bust some heads, and put that brash attitude into some good use for a change. Let's forget about the fact that they attacked Spike, Rarity's Boutique, Applejack's Barn. Like seriously, this episode can't make up its mind whether it's mind-numbingly stupid or boring. Number 6, Hearthbreakers. You can't build an episode around a bad idea. That bad idea? A rock farm is a stupid concept. This was made a while back during a flashback where Pinky was telling the CMC how she got her cutie mark, and that joke worked because it was in and out. It was quick. It was Pinky holding the audience's hand with a kind, warm, endearing voice, like Pinky taking you through something as ludicrous as a rock farm, even in a community filled to the brim with alleged nitpickers shrugged. Now, take the same weak concept, drag that bitch out into 22 minutes, and you'll have Hearthbreakers. You fail as an episode when the person learning the lesson universally has the more appealing stance. I asked my audience before, and I'll ask it again. Would you enjoy the Apple family's hearth-warming eve more than the Pies family? You know, the warm food, and the presents versus the diarrhea soup and the rocks. It's not like it was a mythical task for the writing staff. Their one job was simply to make it so it was arguably possible to side with Pinky's family. I understand that the rest of Applejack's family was able to rough it when Applejack wasn't, and that's what makes it so much more unreasonable to believe. Applejack, the family pony, couldn't pick up on the social cues that her family was getting along. Her whole family. I could even buy her dropping the ball with Applebloom and some pony to watch over me, all things considered, but Big Mag, Granny Smith, and Applebloom? This is about as fun as walking up and down a straight corridor in Final Fantasy XIII. It's linear, unimaginative, like a rock. Rarity investigates. Kiss my ass. Let's take a really cool character, make him fun and interesting, and just squash him immediately on arrival. Who the fuck wrote this episode? Triple H from the WWF? Not to mention Rainbow Dash acts about as retarded as I've ever seen. A mystery that isn't a mystery, the Wonderbolts are even more scummy as they've ever been. And somehow, someway, I learned to care even less about that arc that just needs to die already. I wish Lauren Faust would have took that arc with her when she left. Number 4, Princess Spike. Seeing as how the last time I listed off a series of things I'd rather do than watch Princess Spike, I see no reason I shouldn't do it again! I'd rather watch one of British Ninja's limp-wristed attempts at edgy social commentary than force myself to give a shit. I'd rather watch a brony-styled version of CinemaSins. Take your pick, any of them. I'd rather talk to that person afterwards and pretend like they have a shred of talent. Again, take your pick. Especially when you consider CinemaSins' pants-on-head mind-numbingly retarded. I'd rather be on a podcast with a bag of Vicodin with Silver while he unironically talks about his clot fiction 3 fucking times.
I could write a clop fic right now while we are talking. I basically wrote a clop fic that was very, very weird.
Okay,
and
then.
As opposed to regular clop fics? I mean, they're so known for being middle of the road and reasonable.
I prefer to write stories that have some sort of idea behind them, as well as there are some, like, I've wrote Club, and even in those, I tried to have some sort of idea within them, some sort of...
I'd rather listen to a bag of Vicodin tell me what he thinks about good analysis even more insultingly, or even more insultingly what he feels a real podcast is, without throwing up in my mouth. I'd rather talk to Chalice from Horse News about journalistic integrity without shitting myself laughing. I'd rather listen to Rendrick from Horse News piss and whine about Black Griffin making money from the Bernie fandom for straight 4 days and being called an SGW because I kindly told him to shut the fuck up already. I'd rather let Pastel Pros babysit my kids after handling her coat hanger and a belt. I'd rather sit through Miss Anthropony's Disney videos. I'd rather talk about Topples on Pony Tonight. Am I right, Corpulent? Haha! Number 3, Appaloosa's Most Wanted. Dear Dave Polsky, I sure am glad they stopped you from writing after this abortion. I seriously have a hard time believing you're behind this. Dave, I hope you end up working on Steven Universe. And whatever happens, happens. Best of luck, kiddo! Number 2, the main attraction. So let me bounce this one off of you. Men bad, women good. That's the whole plot. Even when men are bad, it's really because a guy is controlling her. Don't worry, girls. There's some guy manipulating you to being a terrible person. Not only is he keeping you from being a nice person, you'll be entirely better off without him. See, when I say cartoonishly evil, this is coming from a guy who likes Team Rocket and enjoys Captain Planet villains. Spingollop is painfully retarded and obnoxious. All the blame is on Spingallop, and Lady Rara is able to wax off all the bad juju, like a bad case of fleas. I was just happy when this was all done. Number 1, what about Discord? I wasn't able to finish this one either, just like Princess Spike. The difference? That was a Spike episode. You know, Spike. No one in their right mind expects Spike to be any good. I mean, it could happen, but having a Spike episode is like a rite of passage. It's like the sun coming up. It's like the night rising. It's natural. It's expected. It's like getting wet in the rain. Now I want you to take all that tedium and slap it onto a John Delancey episode. An episode about the same time the season is about to wind up. An episode that if it's not retcon will be a bridge gap between friendship between Discord and the main 6. Well, okay, the main 5 out of the 6. That was something that could have easily been a series of episodes. The main 6 teaching Discord about their element. Discord learns kindness, loyalty, generosity, honesty, etc., etc. I mean, naturally he wouldn't get it perfect, but it would be fun to see Discord struggle to learn those things. That's set up with so many visual gags, it would have been ridiculously funny. It's not only that, but Twilight was criminally underutilized this season, and this is as fine place as any to place that blame. This episode was as fun as slamming your dick into a refrigerator door, which expectedly is what I would ask from Neil Doosdow. Neil, you truly are the weakest link. Goodbye. How we're potentially keeping you and losing Amy Keating Rogers is an even bigger confusing mess than Magical Mystery Cure. To be fair, I love this season, and if push comes to shove, I'd back off on about 3 to 5 of these, but hey, if you're feeling froggy, I'll see you down below in the comments. So till next time, don't ask why a field burns or a plague spreads, all for no good reason.